best of threes. You know, technically 3 best of threes can actually be like an hour if they're all 2 zeros and, you know, PvP or something like that. But I did want to cast some Starcraft today. I wish I could cast more. I wish I could. The lesson is definitely trust Wikipedia more than anything else. Can't believe how damn good that site is. And people who run it and help out are mostly in the shadows, man. Occasionally they'll tweet at someone asking to clarify, and you're like, oh, I found one! It's like finding a shiny Pokemon. But otherwise, they're not really credited very much. Alright. Shadown versus Neeb, PvP. Bottom left, reppin' the America. The America. United States of America. It is the red Protoss, Neeb. And in the top right, as the blue Protoss, it is Shadown. I don't know what it is about Shadown's name, but I just feel like it's like part of a song. It sounds cooler than it is. Shadown. Anyways. How you all doing this morning? It's actually a beautiful day. It was supposed to be raining. What, like, do weather people ever know anything? We think we can actually predict the weather, but I don't think that's true. 36 hours ago, they were saying rain yesterday, rain today, rain tomorrow, rain the next day, and I was all bummed. And now it's all sunny and bright and beautiful. Like, what the hell, man? Foolish humans think they can predict the future. Alright, PvP. So Neeb actually... Okay, so I made a joke saying that a best of three best of threes can actually be an hour if they're all PvPs, because it is one of the faster matchups. Just because it has that ability to end at like 6 minutes, you know, Proxy Robo, or, ooh, nice catch. Or, you know, any type of cheese. Lots of games do end 1 to 2 base, and then 2 to 3 base. We hardly ever go beyond 3 base, and like not even like fully saturated 3 base, right? You get a +2 attack on the way from your opponent. You're not going to fully saturate. So it's one of the shorter matchups, can be, but then funnily enough, Neeb was playing against Gung Fu, I believe, yesterday, and had an hour-long first game. Very, very, very uncommon. About 2+ years ago, PvP actually was in this weird place where everyone was going late game. Actually, more than that, probably 4 years ago. I don't know, PvP's actually been through a lot of metas, because, like, at one point it was all Disruptors, which could actually go into a fairly long game. When Disruptors started dying down a little bit, I guess everyone started getting okay with them. We did have some really, really long games where they couldn't bust each other. So eventually they went into Stargates, and then, you know, eventually went into... I mean, there's even, like, a Phoenix vs. Phoenix phase for, like, a tiny hot second there, and then... Well, anyways, the point is we're at, you know, where we are now for the most part, which is if you don't end with a proxy, some aggression against someone who did expand, you're usually ending on that third base with a +2 attack, so... Don't expect an hour-long game, but Neeb can be a very defensive player. It is still probably where he's best, even though he's got cheeses and proxies, and has actually shown quite a few in PvP. And Shadown, who I didn't really mark as a macro player, just didn't really have a, you know, I didn't have anything attributed to him. I haven't cast that much of him, even though he's been playing for a while, and I've cast him enough. I don't know, I just didn't really mark him as something, and, well, I think he actually is a macro player. I'm finally gonna mark him as something in my brain. So maybe. I mean, they're both macro players in the sense that they're both expanding. They're both going for a robo here. But Neeb does have a lot of adepts. So he's actually doing something that also had a hot minute of being really, really popular to do. Like, a lot of the Korean Protosses are doing 6 adepts, and then it kind of fell off. But yeah, 6 adepts is really brutal because they can kill the pylon or the shield battery, rather, that's blocking fairly quickly. So even if you get the block off, it's not going to stop them from getting into the main base. But even if they do that, they still have to walk to the main base. And if you're actually prepared for this, you get a decent number of units. You didn't skip units 4 and 6 or 7 and 8 or what have you. Yeah, if you didn't do that, then the adepts don't really look as good. And Neeb going to the natural there grabs 5 probes. Really needs to do more. Fortunate enough to get the adepts in the main base, but one was already so weak that it goes down. Yeah, I feel like he really needed to do a bit more than 7 a bit more, just because the counterattack is also going to put him in a difficult position, because there is a Warp Prism available. Now that, if it wasn't available, maybe Neeb's totally okay, and that's fine, but Shadown did immediately grab a Warp Prism instead of building an Immortal. So nice decision by him, taking out the Adepts immediately, going for the counter, and look at this! Is this the new hot thing on Europe, guys? I'm going for the Warp Prism in the main trick, but it's actually not going to be that tricky. He kind of mistimed it a little bit. The Warp Prism, I think, was already seen by Neeb in the front, and he is not tricked by the one in the main at all. Very, 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 very unlikely that a Warp Prism first player out of that Robo is going to get, like, a second Warp Prism immediately, and also in time to also attack with it. I mean, maybe during a game you're not thinking of it exactly like that, but yeah, it's one Warp Prism's probably... Yeah, he didn't take this seriously. Just pushes it back. I guess what if, right? He had pushed back the main attack, so why even risk it, I suppose? And it does finally disappear. So, bit of back and forth, but actually Shadown's counter, which I thought was going to be a little bit stronger. I really thought Neeb was going to struggle a little bit there. His economy was already pretty well set up, so it wasn't like he was going to cut a lot of probes to defend, but I thought maybe shield batteries would go down, immortals would go down, hell, a gateway would go down, or probes would go down, because he would be able to do some elevator, you know, depths in the main type stuff, but that didn't happen. And now Neeb's 7 probes actually look, you know, quite amazing, even though the adepts all died and were cleaned up fairly quickly. I say amazing, but very good, maybe, is the better way. Because he got saturated on 2 bases a lot faster, even though Shadown is catching up now. It's not quite accurate to this situation. Yeah. Big spike up there for Neeb. Now Shadown's going to proxy a Dark Shrine and a Gateway, so instant reinforcements. Ooh, double Immortal drop going after that Forge. Actually, that's really nasty. They're going to get it. They're going to get it. The Stalkers maybe could have tried to, like, pass by the Immortals to threaten the Warp Prism more. So you'd be like, okay, you either get the Forge or... You get the Forge, lose your Immortals, or you get out now, but... Now the power of Immortals, there's really no option to save that. You just need to be in place faster, and unfortunately he wasn't. Neeb grabs a substantial upgrade lead, and more than before. Shadown is depending on those DTs to get some damage done. The Immortal's even finding a third base, canceling the Warp Ins, finding a couple Stalkers as well. Because what are Immortals good against? Stalkers. What kills the Warp Prism of Stalkers? It's a conundrum sometimes. Immortal taking a slight bit of damage there. But +1 has started again. He's going to have to be chronoing that consistently. Because Neeb possibly chronoing his own Forge. Yeah, I mean, he's well set up to do that +2 attack that I've been talking about from the beginning. And he's even still taking out armies, so he's really well set up for that. Shadown having his own Warp Prism to do some tricks micro with, but still can't chase down Neeb's Warp Prism. If it was a more even game, perhaps he would have invested in a Stargate if it was really that tricky, but nah. Warp Prism. Okay, I thought he was going to warp in there, but he doesn't, so it's maybe just going to warp into the main. There is a pylon blocking. Oh, a Neeb. Ooh. This time it could work out for Shadown. If he warps in here. There we go. There it is. He's trying to set up a 2-pronged attack. First attack is scouted. Neeb will be paying full attention to his third base, and he, as I said, he already pulled those units back. That is pretty unfortunate timing. Neeb has a shield battery and a cannon finishing in the main base against something exactly like this, immediately trying to warp in something too. How long will the cannon last? It should be quite a while because the shield battery is also there. Pretty important factor to the defense against DTs, but even so, 3 DTs off of cannon is just too much. But he also started an observer immediately because Neeb is a smart lad, and this will not do as much damage as Shadown was hoping for. On top of that, his push into the third base where he was hoping to maybe catch Neeb overreacting to the Warp Prism in the main was also pretty much a complete failure. Neeb pushes that back with ease. He had 2 upgrade leads until just now. So of course, well, that's awkward. Of course he's going to push that back, and as Neeb realizes, hey, you're going for the base trade, he does go ahead and recall some units. It looks like also Shadown was able to morph in an Archon in the main base, so he did end up doing a lot of damage to the probe line. I really thought Neeb was on top of that, but maybe his Sim City worked against his Zealots there or something like that. He is still warping in, he did recall, and he is still taking the attack on the other side of the map, killing the third base, killing some reinforcements there. Shadown still pretty desperate. He's down to 20 army supply. And there's the tap out. GG. They predict weather in the last hour. They have ESPN. They can tell when it's raining. Game number 2, pretty quickly. In the top left, as the red Protoss, he is Neeb. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, it is Shadown. Sorry, guys, just reading something. Okay, so Shadown getting... Well, he got attacked, he got damage done to him, and more importantly than the damage done to him, he was unable to take advantage of what an attack like that would usually give. Like, it gives you the advantage of army supply, which can be truly devastating. I mean, in PvP, as a Protoss player, you don't have a lot of warp-ins very quickly, you don't have a lot of units very quickly. You know, only 2 gateways, how expensive your units are. So when you know, quote-unquote, give away 6 Adepts pretty quickly, the counterattack can be something really fearsome to deal with, but it ended up being dealt with very, very easily. So if Shadown had actually been able to do anything, or just, like, again, also, like, last longer on the front lines and really bother Neeb and maybe even somewhat contain him, then, like, that's a very different game. But when all was said and done, Neeb's 6 Adepts got the damage they did and had no repercussions, basically. Which is probably very frustrating. Adepts, man. Adepts are pretty good. So Shadown, he's gonna be the first one to attack this time. To hell with that Nexus thing, man. I guess it is worth noting, something I didn't really talk too much about. I was talking about other things. I was talking about the players themselves. But that probe kill that Neeb had, or that I commented on, I was like, oh, nice. It was really nice because that probe usually puts a pylon down to scout what's coming out of the gateways. Would that have given Shadown any more advanced notice against the Adept attack? I don't think so. I really thought he handled it almost as well as he could have. He probably should have pulled the probes, I suppose, in hindsight. But, yeah, it is what it is. Doesn't happen this time. But much more importantly than any probe dying is that this probe was able to hide this for an extended period of time. He was looking everywhere for a proxy. He knew that the second pylon was missing because he did scout his opponent's base and even got out after putting a pylon down to see what popped out of the gateways, and he saw stalkers. But unfortunately, he already has his own stalkers. So stalkers can be an aggressive thing. It can definitely also be like, I know you're proxying me thing, and they're going to be very effective at finding that proxy and hopefully killing it. But a little bit late here, and a very cheeky shield battery, a couple of shield batteries. He's going to go ahead and contain Neeb. Now, Neeb, as soon as he realized this might be a possibility, he went immediately scouting with like everything he could. Got a shield battery, second shield battery on the way. But he also went for Stargates, and that can be very, very helpful. But Neeb, I've actually seen him defend Proxy Robo with Stargate before, once successfully, and then I think twice unsuccessfully, if I'm recalling correctly. Don't quote me on that one. So it's a it's not a guaranteed success. The Void Ray obviously can burn down that Warp Prism very quickly, and probably one of its best things. It doesn't get attacked by the Immortal, which is also pretty good for it. You don't have a lot of room for Stalker Warp-ins if you're trying to get sentries to Force Field and fixing your sights on just constant Immortal production. But even if you can warp in a couple of Stalkers, it's going to take a little while before you can actually tear down that Void Ray. It's a good thing to have, but it is extremely expensive. And not nearly as mobile. So if you do let it kind of slide forward here away from the shield batteries... This is so stupid. Shield battery to shield battery. Then it will go down. It actually will. It's a pretty easy thing to target fire. This is actually so silly. They're both shield battering each other. Like, what? Neeb did manage to use that proxy probe, sorry, the scouting probe to build a proxy and even committing to a gateway there, which actually makes sense. He can afford a third gate, well, a second gateway in this case. One of them's already dead. But then why not put it in a proxy? You can still warp it anyway, right? These fights are just almost comical, man. Like, nothing is dying. Immortals are attacking at depth, they're being charged by a shield battery. Void Rays aren't in range with the Stalkers because they're running up a ramp. It was really awkward. It's just... It's like a comedy club, man. Force Field's still buying time. Warp is available, but it really can't do any elevator tricks against now what is 3 Void Rays. Like, that's pretty insane. Oh my god, they almost burned down an Immortal in time. Another gateway falls, providing more access to the main base, but they're still going up a choke. Against more shield batteries being built, I don't think Shadown can actually tear this down. Like, it's a very different thing if you get to 1, maybe 2 Void Rays, and then you start losing the Void Rays, and then you start losing control of your main. Your Void Rays pop out one at a time, they're not protected. They don't look that hot. But if you're protected on your high ground with 6 shield batteries going to your 4th Void Ray, like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's actually a pretty solid defense. I think Neeb has gotten over the hump that is the scary part of this push, but PvP is a mystery, so I'm not going to call it. Oh, finding I think there was a full shield battery. 1D shield battery, that's nice. Oh, the Warp Prism does not get targeted, actually. Very close to doing so, but when after the units on the ground, these Void Rays just not dying, 4 of them still alive with Overcharge too. Like, they are just prismatically aligning this entire time. They don't have to micro away, and when they did, it was already the last second. So GG, Neeb, using that Void Ray defense really well. Now, he could have gone for Stargate on one base and then realized it was a proxy.